Heyo guys, what's good, what's happening, and what's going on? You probably saw my last video, the fishing video. I know the lighting in here is way off because I currently got the light behind me. That's an amateur YouTube moment for you, but it is what it is. Anyway guys, something we're doing today is the old video editing PC. She's slow. Well, not really, but it could be faster. After the research I did, it definitely can be faster. So here's the breakdown of what happened. I got bored one day. I was on Amazon.ca browsing around looking at processors, all the new Ryzen 5s, rumored Ryzen 6 coming out. That's going to have some onboard graphics. That's going to have built-in RTX support, or whatever you want to call it, ray tracing. So I got pretty hyped when I heard about that, and I was like, well, let's go see if they got prices on these. Let's see if they're actually out there now. So I jumped on the old Amazon, took a look around, and guess what? Couldn't find them. So then I was like, that's right. When I bought this AMD computer, I bought it off of a fellow subscriber called, I think it's Berserk. He lives here in North Bay, and he sold it to me back, I want to say 2018. It's in the fall of 2018. Computer has a Ryzen first generation 1600X, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 1066 gig card by NVIDIA. NVMe drive, all that jazz. And the motherboard's an ASRock B350. So I was like, and he told me when he sold it to me that he already upgraded the BIOS so it can take a second generation processor, like a 2700, 2800. So I was all like, sweet, maybe I'll upgrade the processor. And I never got around to doing it because I just didn't care. Like the computer was doing what I wanted it to do. Then I got the GoPro Hero 8 and tried to edit 4K video. Let me tell you, she stutters on 4K. She can handle that 2.7K bullshit, but you drop 4K video in there and cutting and playing back and all that, it's just choppy as all hell. So I've been wanting to do 4K. The GoPro can do 4K. My phone can do 4K. Pretty much every camera but the one I'm filming with now, which is the old Sony camcorder, which by the way has no battery in it because the battery doesn't hold the charge anymore. But that's okay. I bought this thing, what, in 2014? So it's expected. She's almost friggin' 10 years old. The battery held on long enough. Kudos to the battery. So I was browsing around. I thought I'd look for some second generation processors. Maybe get like a 2700. Maybe they're super cheap because they're, you know, super old. We're on the 5000s right now, like the 58, 59, whatever. So I jumped on Amazon, did some digging around, looking at processors and stuff. And I found a 3800X. So I was like, oh, okay. And the price was pretty cheap. It was $201. So I was like, all right, sweet. So I put the order in. I was going to buy it. And then I told my coworker, I was sitting in at the office, told my coworker, I'm like, yeah, I just ordered a new processor for my computer because this ASRock board, when you upgrade it to the BIOS 5.80, will run third generation processors. Will it do it as good as, say, a B450 or a B550? Or whatever the X series is? I think it's 570 and 470 and 370. Probably not, but it'll do it. So I looked up some information on upgrading the processor in it to see exactly if there is a great increase or if it gets bottlenecked by the motherboard being so ancient. And it turns out there is quite the speed increase. So I told him, I said, I just bought a 3800X off of Amazon. He's like, oh man. I'm like, what? He's like, I wish you would have told me you were looking for one of those. And I was like, wait, what? Why? And he's like, well, I just upgraded my computer. He goes, it's not a 3800X. He goes, but I have a 3700X sitting at home doing nothing. I just upgraded to the 5900 because he had a B450, I think it was, and that one can take the 5th gen processors. I think I'm right on that. Maybe it's a B550 he had. I'm not sure anyway. But he upgraded to a 5900, which is 12 cores, 24 threads. And I was like, well, for crying out loud, I wish I would have known. And he's like, well, when'd you order it? I'm like 5 minutes before telling you I ordered it. He's like, well, we'll cancel it and I'll bring the processor in. And that's exactly what he freaking did. He brought me the Ryzen processor, 3700X, free of charge, because he was just gonna hang on to it and maybe do a build later on or something. But then he realized he doesn't need another computer, and it's something else I realized. He even has the box for it. Look at that. It's even got the sticker on it friggin' still. You know what's even cool about it? It even came with the factory cooler, the Wraith cooler, which I might actually use instead of the cooler I have now. I might actually put that one on the board instead because it's RGB, and that's kind of cute. And then also we have the CPU. Like, he took great care of his shit. Like, great care of his shit. Still in the box, still ready to rock. Didn't take care of the box that well, but, you know, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, 3700X. From a 1600X to 3700X, we're gaining 2 cores, Zen whatever architecture, I think it's Zen 3 or Zen 2 architecture, I think it's Zen 2. 7 nanometer build instead of the 12 nanometer build. Yeah, this is gonna be sweet. But I gotta finish updating the BIOS before I do that. So then I got my return on Amazon. I basically just logged in and went to the orders and canceled it. And then they asked me the reason why, and I said a friend had one and they're just gonna give it to me, so why waste the money? You can just not answer them, they don't matter. But I told them that was the reason why and went with it. So I was like, well, putting that with the 1600 or the 1060 video card doesn't seem like that smart of an idea. Because one thing about Magic's Vegas is it wants a good video card. And the 1060 does a good job, the 1070 does a better job, but you know what does an even better job than that? A GeForce RTX 3070. Found this puppy chucker on friggin' Newegg for $549. You guys remember like 3 months ago when that video card was like $1,300 because of this stupid crypto miners? I'm one of them. Well, yeah, not the case anymore. So now they're on super sale. So if you're looking to get a video card to up your gameplay, get on it now before friggin' Bitcoin jumps through the roof in price again and these things end up shooting up, because that would suck. Now my coworker also said he never used this heatsink, and look, you can tell because on the bottom there, I don't know if you can see those marks, that's the original thermal pad on there that was never used. And that's pretty sweet. He basically water cooled this processor the whole time. And that's pretty awesome. Now another thing I found out about this computer is I guess when Berserk built it, the only RAM he had was 2167 megahertz RAM. I did a RAM pull on it. If you go into your task manager, you click on memory, it'll tell you the speed of the RAM. And it was coming back at like 1100 and change. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Or no, like 1000 and change. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So I looked into the system to see what kind of RAM it was, and it was 2166 megahertz RAM. The board can take 3200 megahertz RAM. With Intel, I don't think it matters too much because the front side bus is governed by the front side bus, but with AMD, your FSB is governed by your RAM speed. So guess what's happening this weekend? It's Labor Day weekend and Best Buy has a Labor Day sale. So one of the things on sale was RAM. So I ran out and we're upgrading from 16 gigabytes of RAM to 32 gigabytes of Vengeance 3200 DDR4 RAM. That's right, 32 gigabytes from 16. Now you're probably saying, well, if you put the other 16 in there with the 32, you can get yourself 48. Different speeds, we're not gonna risk it for a biscuit. We're just not gonna bother. Now I also picked up at Future Shop some Thermaltake TG7 thermal paste because I wasn't sure if this cooler had any on it. Best be safe than sorry. And last but not least, I'm not sure what the hell power supply is in that thing. So to be safe, I picked myself up a Corsair 850 watt power supply because that video card alone wants to chug back 250 watts. Processor's gonna chew up 65 watts. I don't know what the rest of the system's gonna chew up. Let's make sure we have a great abundance of power in there so that we can handle the payload. And if there is a bigger power supply in there that can handle the payload, I got the receipt. This thing's going back. So the first thing I need to do is pitter patter have at her, get that BIOS up to version 5.80, and then we can start being a technician. Rip it apart, put it back together, and hope she posts. I'll be right back. Before I do anything with this computer, I think I should take it out to the garage and blow it out because there's a lot of dust and debris in here. Oh, this thing does have a DVD drive. I never even noticed. It's right there. Oh, cool. Yeah, I should definitely give it a clean out. But something I want to check is the power supply. And unfortunately that I'm going to have to extract and find out what the heck it is because it's buried in there. So despite all the dust, this is a 650 watt ATX power supply. Probably would work, but we're not going to risk it for a biscuit. We're going to go ahead and swap it out with the 850. All right, there we go. She's all cleaned out as good as I can get it. Of course, if I use a wet rag, I can take the rest of this crap off, but yeah, whatever. Good enough, good stuff. So what I'm going to do first, before installing the power supply, is I'm going to extract the old CPU and cooler, and then install the power supply, route my cables. Now the reason why I don't want to reuse this cooler is it's really annoying. Notice how there's only 2 sticks of RAM in there? That's because this cooler is so fat, it covers the far DIMM slot, and you can't jam a stick of RAM in there. Well, theoretically you could, I guess, if you put it in, then put the cooler on, but good luck getting the C sucker back out, that's for sure. Not exactly an easy task. That's what I'm thinking about using the stock cooler because I don't plan on overclocking this processor. I'm just gonna run it as is, unless I decide to go liquid cooling. Then I'll overclock it. So I'm guessing this thing comes off from up here. You unscrew this. I don't even know if you guys can see that. Probably shouldn't be doing guesswork. Okay, that came off. Okay, I'm gonna sit you guys down and figure this out. All right, we got the processor out, and I'm gonna give you guys a pro tip if you've never done this before. You can see all the pins, and you're probably wondering, okay, how the hell did you put the new one in? So you can see down there, there's like a corner that's on an angle, corner on an angle, corner on an angle, a corner not on an angle. All right, let me show you the old processor here. Back this thing out. Here is the old processor. You see that corner with the white dot over here? That corner there goes right where that hole is, right over here. It's the only way it'll slide in, because if you look at the pin arrangements here, if I can find the processor, look at the pin arrangements, it's the only one that has the marking for it. Can't get this wrong. If you're forcing it in, you're doing it wrong, because this type of socket is called a ZIF socket, and ZIF stands for zero insertion force. It should just plop right in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the 3700 in, and I'll be with you in a moment. Like I said, it should just take it, sit it on there, plop it in, it's flush. When you're done that, you grab this little arm, push it down, lock it in place. Processor ain't coming out, life is great. Now these coolers look pretty easy to install. Looks like you just sit it on the processor and these clamps. I've never actually built an AM4 computer before, so I'm literally guessing at this point, and it's pretty sweet. But it looks like you just hook this clamp onto one of those plastic retainers in there and then clip it onto the other one, and you're freaking golden. So I'm gonna do that now, off camera, because I need two hands. And voila, processor and heatsink are installed. So there is a little handle back there that you gotta jimmy over to lock it in place. Pretty simple. And now I have access to my 4th RAM slot. So if this video isn't a total bust and I didn't just brick my computer, then I might upgrade to 64 gigs of RAM. That could be good. Alrighty guys, I got everything hooked up just to do a quick power on self-test, just to make sure the processor is coming up right and that we don't get any post beeps. I'm gonna hook this thing back up. We'll let her rip data chip. Alrighty, moment of truth. I guess it helps if you turn the power supply on, eh? All right, moment of truth. Oh, we got power. Cooler is not spinning. That's weird. Not getting any video. Cooler spinning now. Oh balls. Okay, back to the drawing board. Never mind, we got it. There we go. Focus. 8-core processor, 3.6 gigahertz. Sweet. Still got that shitty RAM in there. That's DDR4 2400. So now that we know that that works, it's set to overclock mode. Back it out. Overclock mode is auto. The temperature is running a lot cooler than it was with that 1600. The 1600 was running at 70 degrees Celsius, and I don't know why. So I'm gonna put those fans in performance mode. Okay, I think we're golden. I didn't break my rig, I didn't break my rig. Alrighty, cable management portion is complete somewhat. Next up, I'm gonna pull this RAM. Don't know what the heck it is. No brand. I always buy the same shit from Future Shop. You can get it at Amazon and Newegg as well. That Vengeance stuff. Can't need two hands. Minus the speed. This isn't bad RAM. It's Ballistics by Micron, but it's only 2400. We want 3200. We're gonna have 3200. And 32 dirty gigabytes of it too. So dope. Alrighty, let's get this 1060 out of here and slam into 3070. I just realized I shot the last clips without the microphone on. But yeah, now we're taking out the 360 and putting in the 3070. 1 second. We're taking out the 1060 and putting in the 3070. Yeah, we're skipping a generation, but that's okay. Out with the old and in with the new. That's right, it's an MSI. My only conflict I'm gonna have is, if you notice this one here, let me take it out of the sunlight here. This guy here has 2 display ports, HDMI, 3 display ports, and PCIe or DVI. This one here is just display ports across the board. So that's gonna be fun. All right, the new card's in. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I got one line coming up and plugged into both of these 8-pin headers. I don't know if the one PCI is gonna be able to power it, but why else would they put 2 of these leads on here, right? So I'm just gonna let her rip tater chip. We're gonna plug her back in and see if we can get it to fire. All right, we're back in. Let's see if everything checks out. Here's the 8-core processor, 32 gigs of RAM. I don't know if it's gonna show the video card. Doesn't show the video card. Just had to dig for it, but there's There she is right there, RTX 3070. Beauty. Now keep in mind, this board is only PCIe 3, not 4. So we're not going to get the full bandwidth for this, but it should be good enough good stuff. So I'm hoping now I should be able, I gotta kick this thing back out a little bit more, there we go. Hoping now I should be able to edit 4K video on here and it should work out good. But I guess the only way to find out is to let her rip, tater chip. This isn't a 4K camera, this is the old Sony, and surprise, surprise, the battery did bounce back. Very neat. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit up this footage and I'll be right back. Holy crap. Okay, focus. That is ripping hard. Like, you're not using too much of the CPU, but it's really kicking the crap out of the freaking video card. Anywhere from 150 to 200 frames per second, just ripping. And it's not gonna take that long to render. That's dope. Literally half the time of the video to render. I dig it. This was a worthwhile upgrade. So I do want to apologize for the video. As you noticed, as the clip started, the audio got really loud. So one thing about this Sony camera that I forgot about is that it's got auto gain control. So it starts off with the mic sensitivity pinned because of the background noise, i.e. the fan running upstairs. So when I'm talking, it's like super loud and then it slowly balances, just like how the focus slowly focuses. Man, Sony, you guys make such amazing products. I am so proud of you. But anyway, on a side note, yeah, that computer rips now. It rips. Now that I also have RTX. Now you're probably saying, Adam, I thought you were going to buy a gaming computer. Well, to be honest, I don't really play many video games anymore. Like, I barely ever game anymore. I just don't. The only time I play video games is like when I'm over at the girlfriend's house and her kid wants to play some like Mario Kart or something on the Nintendo Switch. I don't really PC game very much. But if I decide to play Minecraft or something now, I'll play it on that computer. I only need one computer. I don't need a gaming PC and an editing PC. I just need one computer. That's all I ever use. You know, the gaming PC just sat there in the background doing stupid shit like running friggin' Bitcoins and stuff, but seeing how that market pretty much bombed, that's the reason why I got that GPU for so cheap, because let me tell you, a 3070, a lot of people were buying those 3060s and 3070s because of the price value, and they're great for mining. So you just load a rack up with them and let them rip and make like 10 bucks a day, you know, in a month. You'd make like freaking like a bunch of money or whatever, but whatever. So that's the reason why I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna just friggin' upgrade that machine because like it's way cheaper than buying a board chip RAM, because the RAM in my gaming PC, the i7 6700, that is only 2166 megahertz. No, it's lower than that. I think it's like 1866. It's slow ass RAM. It's no 3200. And it's 16 gigs in there with a 1070. So there's no processor upgrade. So when I found out I could slam a 3rd gen into this ASRock with just a couple BIOS patches, I was thinking, all right, Zen 2 architecture. The 1600X was a 95 watt processor. This one here is 65 watts. So theoretically it should run cooler because there's not as much jam going into it. It's also built on the 7 nanometer platform versus the 12, I think it was, for the 1st gen. I could be wrong, could be 14. But apparently that lowers its thermal output as well because of stuff and junk. I don't know all about it. Never really studied microprocessor design. Don't really care to either because I don't need it for my job. I just need the processor working. This one's working and it works friggin' awesome. Like, everything on the computer is so quick. It boots up, it's just ready to go. I brought the video into the timeline for Vegas, and before I'd bring the video into the timeline and it would sit there and it would slowly process across the audio waves. This time I brought it in, it was like, just done. I was like, okay, all right. So I'm gonna have to set the GoPro back up on the tripod, well it already is, and we're gonna have to try a 4K video. I wanna see if I can render something in 4K so you can see my ugly mug in super high def. I'm sorry if I scare you off and you unsub. But yeah, all in all, totally worth it. The 3800X and the 3700X, a lot of people said the 3700X for some reason is bad for gaming and the 3800 is better. And the only reason why I can see that is the 3800X is a 95 watt processor. 3700X is a 65 watt processor. Maybe that TDP has something to do with it. I don't know, whatever, who cares? They compared the 3700X to the 9700K and the 3700X beat it. So that's pretty dope. But as far as single core performance goes, it's not that much better. I compared it to my 1600 because I did that with the 3800. 3800 was about 30% faster. 3700 was about 27% faster. So there is obviously a performance differential there. So whatever. But you know what? Free versus buying is definitely worth the little 6% or 4% depreciation in performance in my mind. As for that 3070, well, when I saw the price, I had to. Like, I was looking on Best Try and they had a 3060 overclocked for $329, and I was like, holy shit. So right after work, I drove over there, not today, this was on Monday. I flew over there and was like, because I knew I was upgrading the computer to the 3700X before I went fishing. Last week when I was working with Buddy who gave me the processor at work, he said, I'll bring it into you next week. And he brought it in yesterday and gave it to me. And my video card showed up yesterday. But on Monday this week, I flew into Best Buy to grab the video card. And you know how inventory control systems go. They never keep them updated. Said they had 2 in stock. Guess what? No, they didn't. They're like, oh yeah, it's been off all week. We've been having tons of people come in and asking about it. We don't even have the price on the shelf or anything, blah, blah, blah. Then they're trying to sell me a 3050 GTX for $429. And I was like, no. So then I went on Newegg and I found that one there. Actually, the original one I found was by another company, well, by Asus. And it was a little bit more expensive. It was about $740. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's good. It's a good price, $740 when they were like, you know, $1,200 back in the mining days. But then all of a sudden I was just browsing through the cards and I came across this one here and I'm like, well, 3070 is a 3070 in my mind. Like, I wasn't too picky when I bought my 1070. I literally grabbed the cheapest model and went with it. And well, it's been a reliable card, so we'll risk it for a biscuit and hope MSI holds up, because I really don't want to have to arm a video card. But I got the 1060 still. I do have the 1070 still in the i7 6700K, which is down for the count. What I'm going to do is that old power supply, that 650 I ripped out of the rig, I'm going to move it over to the i7 6700K and just see if I can get that to fire up. Maybe it is the power supply that shit the bed. Maybe she's just not driving enough jam to the motherboard anymore. We'll find out when we rip it out, put a new one in, see if she'll power up. Maybe it'll turn over and we'll have another gaming computer going. If that's the case, sweet deal. If not, well, hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't mind playing games on my new rig, which is not new. My upgraded rig, it'll hammer out. It'll be awesome. Apparently Grand Theft Auto 5 now on PC supports ray tracing. Apparently it doesn't look that much better. It just, you know, okay. Apparently Red Dead Redemption, or as I call it, Grand Theft Horsey, looks super dope with ray tracing. So we'll find that out. One of the next upgrades I want to do on that computer is get another solid state drive, something in the 1 to 2 terabyte range, just to basically use as a video game installation drive. So that's what I want to do next. And I'm thinking about going to Best Buy and buying more RAM because that RAM is on sale. Regular 149 on for 99. Like, come on. Another 32 gigs of RAM in that rig would be slamming. So 64 gigs of RAM, dual channel across the board, NVMe to run the boot sector, and 3070 and a Ryzen 3700X. Yeah, you're talking about a performance video game playing dreadnought. It's going to be awesome. And now I can also play Minecraft with ray tracing turned on, so that's kind of sweet too. But anyway, guys, I'm going to shut her down here, call it a night. It's friggin' 9 o'clock. I got to get to bed. 5:30 comes quick. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, click that like button. Any questions, comments, concerns, down below the go. And until next time, guys, live it to win it. And until the next vlog, I'll see you then. Peace. Sit, stupid, sit. Good dog.